Hey everybody, how's it going today? Sweet. 11:30. Yeah, how's everyone going? Just as usual, just give me a quick thumbs up in the chat that audio and video is going well. Let me know that you can hear me. I can see everybody in the chat. So David and Marin, thank you for coming today. Mr. Cole, as usual, thanks for coming. Sweet. So you probably saw the emails obviously because you're here. And yeah, so Total CMS 1.7 is out. Hopefully you guys are already have it installed and using it and all that stuff. And yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. A lot of really exciting stuff actually. Let me move some stuff around here really quick. Okay. Best wishes from Germany. Thank you from Matthias. Yawn Storms. Uh-oh, Mr. Workman's in the house. Bill, thanks for coming on. Cool. I love the little chat widget thing. I love that. That's so cool. Cool. So let's just dive in, right? As you know, Total CMS 1.7 shipped last week, and yeah, I finally added 6 new fields to blog. And if you didn't read my announcements, essentially, hey Martin, essentially what's happening is, I have been working on Total CMS 2 for a really, really long time, actually. Really long time. But I was gonna try to rush it out this year. Actually in the fall, I was hoping to have it out by the fall or even end of summer, I think it was. I wanted to have a beta out, but yeah, I just felt like it was rushed. I spent a whole lot more time on Foundation 6 this year than I expected to. I figured by like February I'd be like done with Foundation 6, right? But we kept chugging along, kept adding new features, kept adding awesome stuff to it, and yeah, it kind of took over. And I think that's a good thing, right? Because Foundation 6 is really awesome, really stable, and just in a really great place right now, right? So, and then I was just going to start shifting all my focus over to Total CMS, right? And, but I tried to dive in and was just like moving from Foundation 6, like being engulfed in a big project. Like I just didn't feel like diving into another really big project right now. Mostly just because I didn't want to get myself burned out, right? So, and there was a lot of other little things I needed to get done, and like I still need to publish the Foundation demo site, which we have built. I haven't published it yet. I got to get the conference ready. There's just a lot of other stuff that it was just stressing me out trying to think of trying to get Total CMS 2 out. So, as a temporary leeway into Total CMS 2, right? I decided to take some of the features that I already had planned in version 2, and I brought it into the blog for version 1, right? So I had planned 6 new fields in Total CMS 2 for blog. So I figured, you know what? A lot of what people are really clamoring for right now, like just to fill that need, is to get at least a few more fields, right? So we have 6 new fields in Total CMS 2, or I'm sorry, in Total CMS 1.7 that I brought over that was originally planned for version 2. So it was quite a bit of work, especially getting the new image field done, right? That was a lot. And there's a lot of new stacks. There's a lot of obviously new options for all these new fields in various other stacks, right? So let's dive in. I'll tell you what their kind of intentional use case is for as a blog, and then I'll give you some as we review each field. I kind of tell you how the people that want to abuse blog and basically use blog as not a blog, right? As displaying products or displaying events or displaying whatever, right? Because blog is very powerful if you can get around getting that shoehorned into what I named those particular fields, because you can use them for whatever you want, right? So without further adu, thank you for everyone else that just joined as I was chit-chatting. You were saying hello, so hello to everybody. See Sarah and Chris, Donna. Thank you guys for joining. Hello from Bavaria. Hello from Bavaria. I'm from San Francisco. Okay, let's go ahead and let's get some RapidEver going here. Oh, Wolf. Wolf's here too. Howdy, Wolf. Okay. Oh, I need to share my screen. Hold like that. I'm glad I took the time to do that little animation thing. That's pretty slick. Still think it's slick. Eventually, I will get my green screen working, and that will be even cooler. But okay. So this is a really ugly demo file, but it gets the job done. This is what I use to pretty much test. And actually, I was almost late to the live stream because I was actually working on a couple updates for 1.7.1. Okay. Peter, how's it going? Thanks for coming in. Peter's joining from Facebook. Look at that. We are multi-streaming, guys. If you didn't know, we are streaming to Facebook, Periscope, and YouTube. Although I don't think I've ever had someone, at least no one's commented from Periscope. Obviously, bulk of our users are from YouTube, but it's pretty interesting. You can watch us from wherever you want now. Cool. Sweet. So Total CMS 1.7. Let's look at the, I guess, where should we start? Let's look at the form. Okay, so I just have this really simple page here. And all it is, oops, let me go ahead and, let me turn that off really quick. I thought I turned that off already. Let's just disable that. Okay. I had thought that I did something on this page that you would probably never want to do in production. Okay. I have some blog filters, and then I have a blog list, and then I have a blog form, and then I have the blog post. I mean, if I were to click on any of these lists, all on the same page. And I don't necessarily, obviously, you don't want to do this in production, but it just makes it convenient for me to test and play around with things because it's just all on one page. Okay. Sweet. Okay. So let's look at the fields. Let's look at the form. Let's start off with the form. Okay. So we have 6 new fields. And let's see, do I have them all here? Let me just make sure they're all here. We have genre, labels, archived, image, media, and extra content too. Sweet, they're all here. Okay. I have permalink and title just because, well, obviously we want to have those in our forms. Okay. So genre. Genre was intended to be really where I got this. Actually, genre was, I actually planned on adding this probably a year or two ago, and I just never got around to it. And the reason I wanted genre was to kind of mimic a blog like Tumblr has. If you were to go to Tumblr, is Tumblr still around? I don't even know. Is it still around? Oh, I wonder if my blog's still there. Joe Workman. Oh, no. Let's log in. I just use my password, please. Thank you very much. Boom. Okay, so here we go. So in Tumblr, you had this ability to create a type of post, right? So you can create a text post, a photo post, a quote post, link, chat, all that kind of stuff. I always liked that. And that's kind of my thoughts for blog posts for the genre field, where you can kind of create types. I guess you can also kind of think of these as categories, but I don't know. I just thought this was a nice way because categories you can have multiple. You can have multiple categories. So I thought a genre would be nice. And this was the inspiration for that, was Tumblr's, type of blog post. Okay. So getting back here, genre, if you've worked with the author field inside blog, it works exactly the same, right? So if we go back to this form, you'll notice that if you double click on it, just like you do author, you can see all existing genres, and then you can select one. Now you can only have one, right? You can only have one genre. You can't have multiple. Okay. So it behaves exactly like the author field. So if you wanted another field like the author field has, boom, easy peasy. Now we also have, that is one of the genre fields. There also is another one. If we do select genre, here it is, select genre. Here, let's go there. And if we preview that, oops, what did I do? Oh, there it goes. No, what did I do? There it is. We can also have a drop-down list, right? So this is the default one where you can type in. The benefit of this is if you want to lock it down to particular genres, you don't want them to be able to type in any new ones. The select field is a better option, right? Because then you can just select it from the list. Okay. Cool. And again, author is exactly like that as well. Okay. So that's the genre field. If you have any questions as we're going on, I'm going to try to keep an eye on the chat and just let me know, and I'll try to answer things as they come up. Okay. The next one is labels, and the labels field works exactly like tags and categories. Okay. So if we go ahead and preview this, you'll see that the labels, again, if you double click, same thing as categories and tags, you can have as many as you want. Okay. And you can keep typing. So on and so forth, right? So you can create as many labels as you want. It's exactly like tags and categories. Okay. And I believe there's a select for labels as well. Yes, there's a select box for labels as well, just like we had. Again, one of the drawbacks of the select is that it only allows you to choose one, obviously. So there we go. Okay. Next is archived. And this is another toggle. And this behaves exactly like the featured and the drafts. Okay, so it's just another on-off toggle. The inspiration for this actually came from Paul Russum. And again, another one from quite a few years ago. It's been on my list for a while. He wanted the ability to just have another tier of, I don't want to delete this blog post, but it's not a draft. And obviously he doesn't want to mark it featured. He just wants to archive it, right? So this gives us that ability now. And we have all kinds of options for these, which we'll look at in a little bit. But it behaves exactly like both the draft and toggle, okay? It behaves, in terms of its default behavior in blog list, it pretty much behaves exactly like draft. So archived things by default are not displayed inside the blog list, so on and so forth, right? So that's what the archived field is. Image. So as you know, hopefully, probably most of you here have used blog, and you've used, that prior to this, in order to use an image or some sort of featured image, we had to have a gallery, right? And sometimes that caused some confusion, because sometimes, like, if you wanted to import an image from a blog, it'd be like, okay, well, you have to tell your customer, okay, well, you have to mark an image as featured, and then that featured image will show up on the blog list, or that featured image will show up in the slider on your homepage, or something like that, right? And I think that was cause for confusion. Or sometimes we wanted to use we only wanted to have our customers upload one image to the gallery. We didn't want them to upload any more, but obviously the customers don't listen, and then they upload multiple, and maybe that throws off your layout, right? So the simple solution here was just to allow you to add an image. So you can now have an image and a gallery. You can have both, okay? But just having a single image it just makes sense, right? We can also have PNGs in this now too, right? Because one of the drawbacks of galleries in the current version of Total CMS is JPEGs only, right? So now that we have an image, you can have a PNG in there. And this just makes sense. So we can have the featured image. Maybe you have whatever is uploaded here will show in the blog list, will show up maybe as the social media image, will show up as, in the impact or some sort of slider on the homepage, right? I mean, so this just makes sense. It makes things very simple, and it makes sense. It's a good addition. Okay. Now we come to the last two fields, which are two very flexible fields. Okay. The first one I call media. And my intended purpose for this was, actually, we've had quite a few people trying to do this recently, which is interesting. They want to attach, let's say, an audio file or a video file, or some sort of, audio player or YouTube player or something like that. They want to have some sort of media, right, associated to a blog post. and then they want to display that in the blog list, right? And so that's exactly what media is. Now, by default, media is actually, what is it? What's it look like? It looks like, that's what media looks like by default. Okay. It's just a simple one-liner. Maybe you can, put in either a URL to an MP3 or some YouTube embed code or a YouTube URL, and then you can use something else to create the embed code for you. Right? There's all kinds of stuff that we can do. Okay. But I wanted to make this setting flexible for people that loved to abuse blog. And by me, abuse is, like I said, they're using it for all kinds of crazy things. Okay. So I've given you the ability to make it a multi-line text field, or you can also make it a HipWig editor, right? So you can also make it HipWig. Okay. So this field really is just generic. Think of it, it actually behaves just like the summary field does, actually. So this gives you an extra really flexible text field. My original purpose for it is, again, for media, which is why it's called media, but feel free, you can abuse it to your heart's extent for whatever purpose you want, right? So there we go. And then the last field is just an extra content number 2. So some people wanted another extra content field. So I thought that was stretching it a little bit, but you know what? I figured I'd give you guys a present and give you one extra field. All right, now the ultimate question. So that's all 6 fields, and this extra content field is super flexible. You can do it, with any field. It's just like the media field. You can have it a single line of text, plain text, or the HipWig editor. Okay, it behaves exactly like the summary field, the content field, and the other extra content field. So, yeah. So now the ultimate question: out of these 6 fields, which fields are available in the blog list and which fields are only available on the blog post page? So you will be very happy to know that 5 of these 6 fields are available in the blog list. So genre, labels, archived, image, and media, all 5 of those are available in the blog list. Okay? Extra content is only available on the blog post page. Okay, so you should be pretty happy. This gives you guys a lot of fields now in blog list, like a lot. So pretty cool stuff there. Hold on, let me get a swig of tea here. No questions yet, I see. Okay. I guess we'll start off next with a blog list. Okay, I'll come back to filters. Actually, you know what? Let's just go down the page now. Let's do the filters. So the filters, well, there's a couple different ones. So this is actually the menu stack. Let's go ahead and look at the blog filter stack really quick. I think I deleted this from the page by accident. So if we go blog filter, okay, and here if we add like filter links, okay. Here you can display, as you see, there's some options here for now archived. You can display all kinds of stuff, okay? And this is going to be the same exact thing in the blog menu. If you're using Foundation 6, the Foundation 6 Total CMS menu has this as well. There's I think twice the number of options in here now. Because we've added labels and genres, as you see, you can define links of all your categories and then have subcategories or sublinks of all labels that are in those categories. And same thing with genres. And then if we go down, we could have all the various things for labels, and then we could have all the various things for genres and submenus under those. Let's show a example of these using the Foundation 6 menu. Just because it builds out a menu instead of it just being one huge link of lists or list of links. Okay. So here you'll notice it's the same thing. We have the same exact options. And this works in all Foundation 6 menus. Now this is just a straight up menu. Actually, let's go ahead and I'm going to throw in a drop down so we can see this inside of a drop down menu. Boop. And I'm just going to add that in there. Delete that. Delete that. Okay. And so if we go to the blog menu, we'll do labels from, let's do Hold on, let me look at my data here. What do I have? That will even show anything. Oh man, I deleted a lot of my data in here. Okay, I think let's do tag or labels with tags. So let's do labels with subtags. Okay. And I'll review some of the new filter and sort options when we look at blog list. Okay. But just for right now, let's just, worry about these queries. So here I'm going to have a menu of all the labels that are in my blog and then submenus of all tags that are associated to posts with those labels. Did that make sense? Let's go ahead and publish this really quick. Marin, for the blog list macro hints, I will be going over that. Yeah, I'll actually be showing some really, really cool stuff at the end, how to integrate those with like Foundation 6 labels and stuff like that. So remind me if I forget, but I shouldn't forget. Oh, wait. Oh, let's just go ahead and let's just go ahead and go here. Let's just edit some of these. Oh, let's do that. All right, let's just do this. This is I'll just type in some data here so we can show some content in our menu. Okay. Let's refresh this, reload. What's going on here? Oh, overflow. Duh. Visible. Man, what a rookie. What a rookie. Publish that. I have to publish because the menu stuff or the filter links and all that don't actually work in preview. They only work on publish. What in the world? Maybe there's a bug? Drop down menu. Overflow visible. Interesting. Let's go ahead and let's try genre. Let's list all genres. Let's try that. I know this was working before. It's very interesting. Not all the genres are being updated. Okay. Well, obviously there's some sort of issue there. So it looks like something isn't getting updated. I'm not sure what, but I'll get that fixed today. Cool. Okay. But that will show, as we saw, or if you've ever used these before, the ability to have a navigation that has, all these various combinations of things. So super, super, super powerful there. Okay. Let's look at the blog list. I know that a lot of you use this and are aching to look at it. So here I have a blog post that has all the various fields that we have available. We have image, genre, labels, categories, and media, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Or that's 4. Archive doesn't necessarily have a content stack, but I'll show you what you can do with that. So let's look at the main blog list. As you see, if you've ever used the images for feature, I did add images for genres. I didn't add image support for labels, just mostly, I'll be honest, mostly because I just thought, you have the ability to have 4 different ones, and adding it for labels would have made the settings a lot more complicated. So yeah, we just have it. We have genre support for that. Oh, look at that. I still have the gallery ID set to authors. Oops, copy paste error. So there we go. I'm not going to go over how to do that. Check out some other videos. It behaves exactly like the author one does. Okay. If we go down here, we'll notice that we now have a new archived feature. So by default, it's set to display with posts. And then you can say, like, if you want archive to display before all the posts, or if you want to hide archived, actually, which is probably should be the better default. It should be hide archived actually by default. I'm going to make a note of that really quick. 1 second. Where's my... I'll fix that. Yeah, you definitely want to have hide archived by default. Oh, well, the reason that is the default. It's just because I have it displayed for all because I want to see them. Okay, got it. Never mind. It is hide by default. I had changed it to display with posts so I can test it out. And then here you can do filters now based on genre and label. So if you want to filter this blog list based on a label or filter it based on a genre, you can do that as well. Okay. And that's it for all the new settings in the blog list. It's all about filtering, right? So we have the option of filter by archived, genre, and label. Okay. Next up is all the various stacks to view this data. Okay. So the image stack, it behaves exactly. Oh, I should say before the image stack has been renamed. The previous image stack was renamed to gallery image and gallery image F6. The reason I did that is because, I couldn't have them still called image because they were pulling from a gallery. So I renamed those gallery image. They will still work 100% in your existing projects, but I renamed them the gallery image so that you know that this was the image stack that pulls from the gallery instead of the normal image stack now, which uses the image feature in blog. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Now, all the settings here are pretty much identical to what we had for the image stack for gallery, with one exception. When you choose background option here, when you're using the image and you choose background, you can actually supply content here. So that's an interesting new thing. That wouldn't have been possible with how the gallery image stack is built. But since this is just a single image, I can guarantee we only ever have one. I can give us the ability to actually have content on top of that image now. So that's an interesting little new feature. That is the primary one difference. Another thing for Foundation 6 users, all of these stacks now, the genre, the labels, the image, they all have class fields as well, okay? In all the existing ones as well. So like if you looked at all the tags and the summaries and the title fields, all of those have classes now. Okay? So that, while in Foundation 6 swatches, you could define, using the elements, now we have classes available so that we can define classes directly on all of these as well, so you can apply your swatches. Okay. So image, again, exactly the same as the gallery image. It just pulls in from the single image, and then we have the ability to supply content if we use background image. Okay. Genre. Nothing too exciting here. It just displays the genre field. It's exactly like the author field. Okay. Same thing, labels. Nothing new or exciting in here. It behaves exactly like the categories and the tags stack does. Okay. Media, not much exciting here as well. It behaves exactly like the summary field. Okay. It just displays it. Now there is one other new stack that I know some of you are going to be very interested in. So Total CMS has a lot of macros, and those macros can be used to integrate Total CMS data inside third-party stacks. Now, in blog list, there's always been a different macro syntax, and I've over the years kind of slowly trickled that out to more advanced users, and it's come pretty prevalent now that people are starting to use it, and it's kind of the word's gotten out. So I finally created a blog list macros stack, and these look and behave much differently. They only work inside of a blog list. Okay, these will not work anywhere else. They only work inside of a blog list. Okay, and you might be familiar with this syntax. I use this syntax in several other places, like Foundation 6 forms, and a few other stacks use this similar syntax. It's called mustache templates. Okay, basically uses little curly brackets and then the name of the field. Okay, so here is just a summary of all of the various macros that you can use. There's a few others like hidden macros, but this is going to cover most of what you want. Okay, and I tried to give some really detailed examples here. We're actually going to play around with some of these examples in a little bit. Okay, so like if you wanted to put the title somewhere. Okay, so let's say I'm going to let's go to the title field. Oh, actually, one feature that is in this title stack, a lot of you for years have wanted to change this from being an H3 to whatever, right? So you now have the ability in the title stack to actually change whatever the HTML element is, right? So you can use H2 or H4 or whatever you want, right? It's up to you now. Before, I think it was hard-coded to H3. Okay, so now you have the ability to change that. But with these macros, you can actually use whatever stack you wanted, right? So let's go ahead and I'm going to chuck in, because I know Foundation 6, I can use all the Foundation 6 stacks inside blog list. Not all stacks can be used inside blog list. I will repeat, not all stacks can be used inside blog list. If you're just getting started with blog list, assume that all of these assume that all of these hold on one second. Okay, so sorry about that, guys. So I had a phone call come in. I forgot to turn on Do Not Disturb. So these what was I doing? Oh yes, not all stacks can work inside blog list. Okay, and a rule of thumb, if you're curious, is if you are a new user, stick with whatever's inside this child stack menu. Okay, people have been sticking to these for years, and it's done them good. Okay. Another, if you want to start dipping your toes into the next level, and you have Foundation 6, any Foundation 6 stack should work inside the blog list. Okay. So that's good. Okay. I actually went over a lot of that. There was a previous live stream on how to use Foundation 6 with Total CMS. And I went over a lot of that. Okay. So I'm not going to dive into that again. But yeah, watch that video. So here, this is my Foundation 6 header stack. I'm just going to do tilde title. Oops, title. You don't have to put spaces. I just put the spaces so that it's a little more legible. Okay. So there we go. I now have my Foundation 6 header with my title. Okay. And if we preview that, we'll see that it works. Cool. Okay. So you see, it's just really simple. You can use the permalink, and you can use these anywhere, right? So like if you have, let's say you want to add a link to this, and you want to link to, a URL, and you want to put the permalink in there as well, right? If you can see that, where is my little loop tool? Oh man, it got tiny. My loop tool got tiny. Oh well, I'll have to fix that. But I see, hopefully you can see that I just put that inside the URL, and now I've actually I'm injecting that permalink into the link, right? Pretty cool, right? So yeah, pretty slick there. We'll be playing around with some more of that in a little bit. You can also do, there isn't actually a stack for this, but maybe there is. Is there a word count stack? Oh, there is. So you can actually do word count. So you can do words. Obviously, you have media. There's two things for summary. If you're using Hipwig with the summary or with media, make sure you use 3 curly braces instead of just 2. Okay, so there is a difference. Okay, so if you're using Hipwig for the summary or with media and you want to inject that into some other stack, make sure you're using 3 curly braces around the summary field. Okay, pretty cool stuff. Actually, if you notice down here, I use, we'll go over that. Okay. Let's show you a little, actually, before I dive into what should I do now? Yeah, okay. I'm going to give you a treat right now. A really, really interesting thing. So let's say Foundation 6 has something called labels. Okay, and they're nice. They look like little labels, right? And so what if I wanted to have a label for every single one of the labels that I have on my blog post inside the blog list, right? So let's just preview this really quick, just so you can see. Let's say I wanted to have all my labels be in here, right? So if it has 3 labels, I'd have 3 of them here, so on and so forth. Wow, pretty cool, right? Let's figure out how to do that. And in order to do that, we're going to have to use these macros, okay? And it's kind of tricky. If you notice, let's look at the labels. So here is labels. You'll notice that we always start off with curly brace, hashtag labels, curly brace. And then there's 2 things. Either we can access the link or the label within. So basically, we're looping through all the labels, and then we're going to use either label or link. Okay, right now, let's just create labels. And the label and link is the same thing for tags and categories. So if you see here, if you wanted to print out the link for every tag, you do that. And if you want to print out the label, the basically the user-readable version of that tag, you would use label. Okay. It's unfortunate. I mean, I had link and label in my API for many, many years before I decided to create a labels field. So sorry if that is a little confusion. But so what we're going to do is we're going to start off with, I'm going to create an HTML stack here. We're going to add this HTML stack right above the label. And I'm going to do curly brace, hashtag labels. Okay. And then I'm going to copy that. I'm going to create a clone of that. And we end it with a / labels. Okay. Hopefully you can see that. So right now, we're kind of programming here. So we're creating a loop, and let's just preview this right now. Okay. And what we'll see is on this blog post, if you look, I have 3 labels, and I have 3 labels down here. They're not labeled properly. We'll do that in a second. This particular one has 2 labels assigned, and here I have 2 labels. This stack has no labels. I have no labels. Or I'm sorry, this post, right? So as you see, we now have the correct number of labels for the labels that we have. Let's go ahead and take it to the next level. So what I'm going to do here is we're just going to put label. So the actual label that I'm putting in there is going to be the macro that injects the labels. Okay. There we go. Now I have live, YouTube, Facebook, label 1, another label 1, label 2, action, right? Pretty slick. Now we can go another further. Like, I want these clickable. I want to be able to click these, okay, to be able to actually filter my blog list by these, right? So let's say I wanted to, if I clicked on this one, it would filter all my YouTube, all my posts with YouTube, right? Pretty cool. Now just to show you that how to, if we want to do this with tags, I would do this with tags, and the closing one, I'd close it with tags, right? And I'd keep the label the same because that's the kind of the internal attribute for that API, because every tag has a link and a label. Every category has a link and a label, and every label has a link and a label. Okay. So if we preview that, I'm not sure how many. Oh, I don't have many tags on any of my posts, so that didn't work. All right, we'll go back to labels. All right, now how do we create a link here? So in the next release of Foundation 6, in the next update, probably next week, I will add a actual feature to create a link in here. For right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the HTML for the link here. This is not the best method because what you'll notice is actually the styles get a little funky. But let me just go ahead and do that really quick. Ahref equals, okay, and then we're going to do a closing tag there. Hopefully you guys can see this, and my magnifying tool is not great right now. Sorry about that. So what I can do is I'm going to link to question mark label equals, and I can do curly brace, link, curly brace. Okay. So again, I will help automate this so that you can actually, in Foundation 6, you can create a link on a label so that you can do this a little bit easier. And so what we're doing is I typed out the HTML for a link. I'm injecting the actual dynamic link for the label, and I'm wrapping it around the actual label. Man, that's a lot of labels. And I'm going to change the style here to be, let's do like secondary. Okay, just so that it previews better. So you see here, I now have labels that are links, and that's really, really cool. And it works. Like if I click on YouTube, it filters. This is the only one that has YouTube, right, as the label. Let's go back. If I click label 1, there's all the blog posts that have label 1, right? That is like wicked cool. Okay, this is a really cool, very advanced, definitely method for looping through tags, categories, and labels so that you can really customize and create some really awesome custom layouts within your blog. Cool. And again, inside the label stack for Foundation 6, hopefully by next week, I will add a link setting in here so that you don't need to worry about this HTML. Because actually where this HTML is placed is actually not correct. It should be placed somewhere else where I would have control of that when I do the stack, when I add the setting into the stack. Okay, cool. What are some other more advanced, kind of advanced features that we can now leverage, especially with Foundation 6, right? Let's, if we look at the published site, if you know Foundation 6, we have the ability to use swatches, right? So, like for example, if we have a swatch, we can target whatever class we want, right? And we all are familiar with what classes are and the power that we have and how we can style things just by applying a class. But there's even more power, okay? That Total CMS automates a lot of stuff for us. So let's say we wanted to customize the color of, let's say anything that's labeled YouTube gets a background color of red. Okay, so let's look at this really quick. I'm going to inspect this blog post. Okay, let's make this text a little bit bigger. If we look at all of these various blog posts, you'll see that that's one blog post, that's another one, right? So if you look at these, they all have a lot of classes assigned to them. So every single blog post will get a class for genre, author, every tag, every label, every category, whether or not it's archived, featured, or draft. That's a lot, right? So that's how many? Genre, author, label, category, tag, draft, archived, featured. That's 8 different classes. And then not only that, but you can have labels, categories, and tags. You get a class for every single one of those, right? So if we look at this particular one, we have a genre dash live stream as a class. Okay. We have label dash live, label dash YouTube, label dash Facebook. Okay. If you look at all these other ones, genre dash action, label dash label 1, label dash label 2. And then here we see this particular one is this. Which one is it? This one right here. It's an archived. So it has that archived checkbox checked, or the toggle checked. So it gets a class of archived. So we can easily target all of these using classes, right? So like I said before, let's go ahead and target anything that has a label of YouTube. So let's go ahead and let's do class is label dash YouTube. Okay. And let's do a color of red. And just for fun, I'm going to say bang important. Okay. So let's go ahead and preview that. Voila. Right. I mean, obviously you're not gonna do something ugly like that, right? But you know that you can do a lot now with this, right? You can also target. Let's say you wanted to target a class of something where the parent class is labeled YouTube, right? So like maybe you wanted to. Here, let's do. Hold on. I think inside in the title here, let's add a my title. Okay. So I'm going to do, or no, I'll do YT dash title or YouTube title. Okay. So, I'm going to target YT dash title where the parent class is label dash YouTube. Right. So here the class is YT title where the parent class is label YouTube. So now I'm titling only. Now this would probably be better if it was text color or font color instead of background color, but you get the idea, right? You can target sub things with all of these classes that are assigned to various blog lists, right? And now your customer has a lot of control over, just by tagging something or labeling something or categorizing something a particular way, we can actually change or modify the style of our blog posts inside the blog list. Any plan on making blog content searchable? That's probably a version 2 thing. Blog only the summary, only the things that are available in the blog list are searchable right now. Blog content, it's searchable by search engines, but I don't have an actual full-blown search field right now. Okay. Cool. Any questions on that? I went over a lot of stuff. Blog list is an important part of our lives, right? We use it a lot. So that's a really important thing. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I didn't see any questions pop through. So hopefully you're just like, I don't know, you're blown away or something. Let's look at other things. Blog form, we already looked at blog form. The blog post, there's really nothing fancy here. There's another image stack. Right, there's obviously stacks for all the various things. So there's an image, and there's the genre, there's labels, there's extra content too. But all those behave similar to the other options that we had. And there are macros for all of these new fields now as well. So if we look at the blog macro hints, okay, you'll see that there are where media, so blog media. And again, these macros are used on the blog post page. Okay, so these are different macros. And the reason is because how the back end, the technology works for all of this. So you'll notice that there are macros for everything here, as well as the image path, right? So there's blog image thumb, blog image squared, blog image featured brings in the gallery, okay? But the first three here are to actually work for the actual image, okay? Cool. I think that's it. Wow. There is a current bug in the released version that I fixed like literally an hour ago, where if you are editing a blog post, so let's say I don't know, click on, oh, I can't do that on this here. Let's go here. If you clicked on a blog and then you edited the blog post, the image would disappear. I've just fixed that this morning. Update will go out later today. Okay. When I used blog macros a while back, I got some PHP errors complaining about the curly braces. Again, the blog macros don't have the curly braces. So if you're using, these are percent signs. So the blog macros that are used on the blog post page are percent signs. They look very, very different than the macros that you use inside the blog list. So they're two very, very different types of macros used for two specific different purposes. I have to admit, I never thought I would be, releasing the blog list macros for people. That was never the original intent of them, to be honest with you. I do think they are pretty user friendly, but they are very different. So the reason they're different is, I never intended for them to be used. Maybe in version 2, I'm trying to evaluate how I can make it more uniform, so that there is maybe one type of macro for everything. But if you still have issues, Martin, give it a shot and post it on Weaver Space, and we happy to help you out. But there are two different types. They're two very different syntaxes, so make sure you're using the correct one. These macros will only work inside the blog list, whereas these other ones will only work on the blog post page. Okay. Cool. Well, guys, I think I'm done. I went over everything. I guess I can look at the release notes really quick. Let's quickly look at the release notes, make sure I didn't miss anything. Let's see, 6 new fields. Yep. Filter. Oh, blog filter. Oh yeah, that's a new one. So on the blog post page, there is a layout rules. And so there's a bunch of new layout rule options here, right? So layout, a lot of new layout rules here. So you can say, you can filter off tags, you can filter off archived, whether it's draft, whether it's featured. What is this used for? A lot of people haven't even tried to use this. What the layout rule does is, let's say I say, if a label is YouTube. So if a blog post has a label of YouTube, basically whatever I add into this layout rule will be displayed. If the label doesn't, if the post doesn't have a label of YouTube, then whatever I add into this layout rule stack won't be displayed, right? So it's basically a way of changing or adding content based off attributes of a blog post. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. Just miscellaneous. I'm not going to go over every little miscellaneous little thing. Oh, here's actually a big one. Markdown. So prior to this release, you couldn't actually put like table markdown. So now the markdown supports tables. And inside the release notes here, if you click on this link, it supports more than just tables. I upgraded the backend library so that we have all kinds of stuff. So you can have code blocks or fenced in code blocks, which are a little bit different. Here's the table syntax. You can do definition lists. Whatever is in this footnotes, although I wouldn't try footnotes. I don't know. You can give it a shot, but I'm I don't know. I'd be weary of that. Yeah, give that a shot. Could work. But tables was the big thing. I know a lot of people they like markdown tables because it's very simple to create a table using markdown. So now Total CMS supports that, which is pretty slick. Another thing, when you are saving either an image or galleries, let's say I'm editing this one, right? So let's just drag a new image on it. So, boop. What's kind of cool is the image is saved when you're editing a blog post. The images are automatically uploaded. You don't have to actually click the save button anymore. Before you had to add the image and then click the save button. But when you are editing a blog post, if you just drag an image, it will automatically upload it immediately. That doesn't work for if you're creating a new blog post. The images for new blog posts will only get saved once you hit the save button. But once it's been saved and you're editing the blog post, you can just upload by dragging and dropping, and they'll automatically get saved. Okay. Oh yeah, and then I updated the impact stack to integrate with the new image, right? So we won't dive into that, but yeah, it's an important one. If you haven't checked out new direction stack, yeah, it's a cool little sweet stack. Check that out. Just gives you a nice way of doing native map directions on Apple Maps if you're on an iPhone, and Google Maps if you're on a non-Apple device, right? So it's a cool little stack. It's cheap. It's super easy to implement, as Adam suggested. If you're here, Adam, thank you very much for the recommendation. I appreciate that. And yeah, check that one out. And if you don't have the deal of the week this week is Agent. And Agent's a really, really awesome stack. There's some threads this week going on about Agent. Some people were recommending it because it is on sale this week. So check out Agent. It's really powerful. It does a lot of different stuff. It's just kind of like a grab bag of really cool server stuff. It has some really awesome stuff for multi-language too. It has like these style of macros for languages, which is it's really, really slick. So if you're doing multi-language sites, I think Agent is the best thing out there since sliced bread. Anyway, I think we're calling it quits. So thanks everyone. I hope you enjoyed today. Hope you got a little bit out of it. Hope you enjoy Foundation 6. Well, we're talking about Total CMS 1.7 and Foundation 6. Some really cool stuff here. So thanks guys. If you have any questions about today, or if you want to, test stuff out and it's not really working great, post over on Weaverspace and we'll help you out. So cool. Take care, everyone. Hopefully we'll see a lot of you on Friday at the Hangout, and we'll see you soon.